So in this video, we're going to show what the welfare effects are of a minimum legal price on society as a whole. So we're going to do this graphically. So we're going to just start with a supply and demand graph. So here is our supply and our demand. Here's price, and here's quantity. Equilibrium, of course, happens where the supply and the demand equal one another. And so what we have looks like this. And of course, if we just let this market work, we know that the area above the price and below demand is our consumer surplus, and the area above supply but below price is our producer surplus. So now let's see what happens when we put in a minimum legal price. And of course, we're going to put one in that's binding because non-binding maximum or minimum legal prices aren't very interesting because they don't change anything. So let's put in a binding minimum legal price. So here's our new price, P star. Okay, and of course our new equilibrium quantity is here at Q star. Okay, so now let's figure out what our welfare effects look like. We're going to label a bunch of areas here. So we're going to label this A, B, C, D, and E. Now we're just going to show the areas in general terms, but of course if we had actual equations here, we could solve for these areas precisely in exact dollar amounts. Okay, so before the imposition of this minimum wage or minimum price, consumer surplus was equal to the area above price and below demand. So it was this whole area A plus B plus C. After the imposition of this minimum wage, demanders, and of course when we're talking about wages, demanders are firms. After, it's the area above the new price, which is the area above P star and below demand. So after, we have a consumer surplus of just A. Okay. Now, what about producer surplus? Well, before, producer surplus was the area D plus E, the area below price and above supply. So that's D plus E. And of course, that means that total surplus in this market before this maximum or this minimum legal price was equal to the sum of those. So A plus B plus C plus D plus E. So that whole big area. Well, after a minimum wage is put on, what happens? Well, it's the area below the price and above the supply. So it's now this area here, B plus D. So look what's different here, right? So what is the gain to producers here for the workers? Well, the workers gain this area B. Those people who are able to keep their jobs get more money. So that area B represents a producer surplus gain equal to B. But there's also people here who used to be employed who no longer are. So there's also a loss to producer surplus equal to E. So the net effect here is we have lost this area E, but we've gained the area B, right? So as long as B is bigger than E, then suppliers are better off. But we could have drawn this in a way such that this area B is smaller than E, so we don't even know that we are going to make the workers better off here. We do know for sure that this area here is lost to the demanders. You put all this together, we know that there's a loss of B plus C to the consumers. We know there is a loss of E to the producers, This area B, however, is a gain to producers. So what we end up with is a consumer surplus loss equal to B plus C, and a producer surplus gain equal to B minus E, which leaves us with a net loss of C plus E. So in this model here, this area here, this whole triangle represents an area that is lost to society. The area B is a transfer from demanders to suppliers, but the area C plus E is a net loss to society as a whole, or otherwise known as deadweight loss. So this may or may not make the workers better off. It definitely makes the employers worse off, and society as a whole is made worse off by the area C plus E.